Hey guys, Jonathan here, and today we're taking a look at the LEGO Lord of the Rings Shire set 10354. LEGO sent me this early to review, but of course all thoughts are my own. This comes out on April 2nd for LEGO Insiders and April 5th for the general public, and if you purchase it between April 2nd and 8th, you'll get the free Smeagol and Deagle GWP until they run out, so that's really cool too. Now this set has 2,017 pieces and retails for $270. So right off the bat, this is definitely a very pricey set for just the piece count included. However, I do think it is a really great set. It's just that the price is out of whack. If this set had been somewhere right around 200 or even maybe 225, I think a lot of us would be like, yeah, this works out pretty well. But at this price point, it is a huge ask, and I'm just not sure if everybody's going to go for it. If you're able to get it with that GWP, that really does help balance out the value, but regardless, let's start taking a look at the set so you can decide if this is a set for you. This actually comes with 9 all-new minifigs, which is really exciting in its own way. So let's go ahead and start there, and then we'll start taking a look at the builds of the set. So our very first minifig to take a look at is Gandalf, and he does reuse a torso and the skirt piece from before. But interestingly enough, we get a brand new face print for Gandalf, which undoubtedly will be really good for customizers out there to make new stuff with. But overall, the rest is just about the same as the other Gandalfs we've gotten from the modern Lord of the Rings era. Still a great minifig, and we also get, if we take his hat off, a long hair piece that we could put on the back, so if you want to have him without his hat from when he's inside the Bag End house, of course you could do that. And we also get an alternative piece here for his skirt that will allow him to sit down in a chair or on the carriage, which we'll look at in just a minute. Okay, everybody else in this set is a hobbit, which means they've got the short dual-molded legs where their feet are on the bottom, and they've got the pants on top. Really makes for a nice, detailed look for these shorter characters. Of course, this is the legendary Bilbo Baggins. I love his pushed-back Doc Brown hair, this time in light bluish gray, which we can flip around for a smirk on one side and a big grin on the other. Of course, he's got that one ring there that he holds in his hand, which actually plays into a play feature we'll look at as we get into the set build itself. But the torso print detail is absolutely awesome, and I think this figure is a real standout. Up next, we have Frodo, and I love his open-mouth expression here with the gap in his teeth. It's not something you see very often on LEGO minifigs in general, and it really works for Frodo. That being said, he also has those dual-molded short legs, this time with dark blue pants instead of the brown we saw on Bilbo, and only he and Rosie got the dark blue pants from this set. That being said, the print on the torso front and back is absolutely immaculate, and of course, we've got a reversible head here too, and I think that this is one of the best Lord of the Rings minifigs we've gotten in the modern era as far as on-screen likeness. Now, another thing I want to point out, of course, is that we can take off the legs, and we can put these small little bricks here into his feet to allow him to be able to sit down, because with short legs, they're not posable, but we're able to have him sit down, which we'll have him do on the carriage a little bit later, and we also get brown legs that could be used for any of the other characters, but they are specifically supposed to be used on Bilbo, and apparently Frodo likes that so much that he fell off the stand. How about that? Up next is Samwise Gamgee, who has a brand new torso that's really great, but reuses the head and hair from previous Sams. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It does look great. He does have his little shears and scissors right there that just add a little bit of extra play detail, but overall, I dig this one a lot. Basically, just a new torso here, not too terribly much to get excited about, but definitely nice to get a variant nonetheless. Alright, so here we have Merry and Pippin, two great minifigs with new head prints, which we'll look at in just a second here, but those new torso prints are great. Merry's is really nice with the green vest and all that, but I love the red lines on Pippin. That is just incredible. And when we flip it around, we can remove these hair pieces to see that they have their scarred up faces with all the debris on it, and we get Kai's hair from Ninjago, but in gray to show what they look like after the fireworks explosion. That's such a cool attention to detail, and I love that they included that here. Here we have Rosie, and I think she looks amazing. That hairpiece looks so good. Of course, we can lift that up to see a reverse face on the other side. I'm almost certain that that's the same face print as Scarlet Witch. It sure looks like it, but when we flip it around, this lighthearted expression is definitely new, as is the torso, and I love the blue skirt piece as well, making for an absolutely amazing figure. And here we have Mr. and Mrs Proudfoot. Honestly, I don't really know a lot about them, other than the fact that both minifigs look really great here. I'm almost certain this head was also used in the Harry Potter theme, but we do get two brand new torsos, and the skirt piece on Mrs. Proudfoot is actually brand new, so that's really cool. We can flip the hair around to see alternative expressions on both sides, and overall, these are definitely nice figures, just to kind of help the Shire come to life and build a little bit of community. I dig it a lot, and with that being said, let's start taking a look at the set. Alright, we'll start by taking a look at Gandalf's horse and carriage. This is really, really well built, and if you remember from way back in the day, Lord of the Rings, just Gandalf's arrival with the horse and the cart here was its own set, so to get this kind of compartmentalized inside here is really great. Of course, in the back we have different fireworks that are built, all kinds of different sizes and things like that, as you can see. I'll set those to the side. Gandalf's hat came off too. But you can see in the back how those fit. It is a very strong construction build. I also showed you how they're able to sit with the alternative piece for Gandalf, which is printed, by the way, and those bricks that we can use to make the hobbits be able to sit. So if we lift these characters off the bench, you can see that there are these jumper pieces there, and that's what they connect to be able to sit down. Then, of course, we get the horse as well. You can see that he detaches from the buggy like that, and we can set that down, and we actually get some bricks that we can put inside the horse like that. So if you wanted to have him gallop around the town without the buggy attached, you could, without him having a giant, gaping spot in his back. Then, of course, like all Lego horses, you could have him kick up, and the head can move down. All things that aren't really achievable while he's saddled up, but overall, it does look really, really cool and is a nice side build to include here. Alright, now as mentioned, we do have some little side builds here. This one, of course, being the firework, and we can actually remove that and replace it with this black spoke here to show that it blew up. And then, of course, remember, we have those alternative faces we could flip around, and we can put the hair pieces on there to recreate the scene from the movie perfectly. And I love that, honestly, like, this could have just been a poly bag or something like that, but it does add just a little bit of extra memorable scene to this build, and I really dig it. We also have a feast table here with a cake build in the middle to celebrate Bilbo's birthday, which is great. Not really too much to be said, but adding all of this smaller stuff definitely adds a lot of life to the set, just like this giant tent piece. Oh my gosh, guys, this is crazy. Now, it's not necessarily giant when we look at it in terms of, like, Gandalf being next to it, because if, we put Gandalf next to it, he just barely fits underneath with his hat. But, of course, when we put any of the hobbits underneath it, it's built to perfect scale. That being said, it is a pretty simplistic build, and the main feature here, of course, is this giant printed textile, which is brand new for this set, and I really can't see it being used anywhere else, given how proprietary it is to this scene, but it definitely was a nice inclusion. I do feel like it kind of drove up the price of the set, though. Like, I would be completely impressed with the set if it didn't have this, and of course, the big printed cloth piece and all of the pieces included do factor into the price, so if there's one thing I had to cut from this set, this would be it. It's very cool, but certainly not necessary in my opinion. And there's one smaller component to take a look at before we actually head inside, and of course, this is the moment of Bilbo Baggins' big disappearance. If you take a look here, there's actually a gear in the back that you can turn that makes Bilbo seem to disappear from the front, so when we turn that, we could have him here, and then, boom, he's gone. It does kind of kick up if you do it too hard, as you could see, so there he is, and there he isn't. There he is, and there he isn't. It's a really, really cool play feature. We do get another printed fabric piece up top here with the Happy Birthday Bilbo Baggins there. Then as we move up, you can see that we have black string lights that are hanging in the tree. And the tree build itself is really solid and really awesome. And when we get all the way to the top, we can see the firework dragon, which is really cool, using these kind of transparent-ish wings, I believe, from Ninjago. And it's a really, really nice build. and I kind of have to push it like all the way back here because it's so tall to show you how it looks overall. But yeah, this is really cool. Of course, you can have all the minifigs gather in front of the stage, and it's a really, really nice side build. Honestly, I feel like all the little side builds from this just could have been their own little set. But apparently LEGO does not want to do smaller Lord of the Rings sets, and they're only doing these ginormous multi-$100 ones. But tell me, like, this that you see right here, right now, with maybe a couple more minifigs, could have been its own set. I wish it were, because it really gatekeeps Lord of the Rings sets being expensive. But that being said, let's take a look at the main part of the build now. Now that brings us to the Shire build itself. And when you're building it, it's actually broken up into 3 parts. So you could build this with up to 3 people if you wanted to make it a group project. This middle section is its own part. These 2 sections are its own part, and then all the side build birthday party stuff are their own part as well. So that's kind of interesting. Just want to give you a quick 360 so you could see the full view of the set before we actually go and look into detail. There is quite a bit I like here about how lived in it feels and details and things of that nature. But overall, we do have to keep in mind that $270 price tag. You know, that is a lot of money, especially in today's day and age. But I also think, you know, for the Lord of the Rings fans out there, this is kind of a dream set come true, so there is that element. I'm just so on the fence. It's just, I don't think it's worth $270, but I do think if you ever were able to get this on sale, use some birthday money, VIP points, anything like that, I do think it kind of comes back into awesomeness, because if we take the price out alone, the build itself is amazing, and the quality's there. It's just the pricing. So that's all I really want to say about the pricing. I kind of want to judge it on its own merit. I think we're all thinking the same thing when it comes to pricing. But that being said, let's zoom in and take a closer look at the details, exterior and interior. So one thing I love about this set are all of the printed pieces. Like these curved pieces are all printed. That's really nice. And of course, the shaping of the set overall is really great too. I mean, just the way that these hills roll into the building itself and go up to the roof. We've got the clothes drying on the, clothesline there. The tree up top is a really neat build. So overall, it does have a lot of great detailing. And especially when we look at small things, right? Like the flowers up front here, the little tree here, then we've got the garden out front with the mailbox, and the way that they used these boomerangs to have the fence kind of curve in and around itself is really cool. We do have a sticker here, no admittance except on party business, which of course opens up a little bit. It kind of gets caught right there, so, there is that, but I love the little sunflower builds. Those are really cool. Then we can walk up to a little bench that sits there, and then, of course, we have the door. There is a microphone in there, but it just kind of looks like a doorknob by the time you build it. All those great circular printed pieces, and, of course, the door opens into the house so that we can explore the inside. We're not going inside just yet. Let's take a look over at this side where we have, these printed pieces here, and a little window built in here, which, of course, is Bilbo's writing office, which is very cool. So that's all of the exterior from the front. Then we'll flip it around just so you can see how it translates to the back. This rolling hillside plays into it, and the inside, in my opinion, does feel a little bit cramped. And, we see those big open circular hallways, which are kind of played into with, like, the arch right here. But the reality is there's just not enough space on the inside to get all of those hallways built in and all of those things. I do want to take a closer look at everything up close, but this is just a nice little view from this side here, and overall, it's really solid. I did want to show you, I lifted it up a little bit too hard, but you can lift that up so that you can see a better view of the inside. And on the back of the door there, we have those whips to kind of emulate the design that's on the back of the door. We've got a little pocket watch there. This can open up, and then, of course, well, we all know what this is, and we've got forks in there. Actually, let me go ahead and take it out. But this is a nice little continuation because we first got the armor print in Rivendell, but now we see it again here in this chest. Forks, spoons, a little gold bar there. We have the little candle here, and it has the pen piece recolored in white, so it looks like, the candle wax is dripping down. That's a cool-ish feature. I'm not, obsessed with it or anything, but as we move over to the table here, you can see that we've got the map that we see in the movie. The chairs actually are not connected to the floor. They're these pieces here, and they just kind of sit in between studs, so that makes them easy to move. We do have these rug pieces which are printed, and that's printed there, as well as this one in the hallway. It's really nice that all of that stuff is printed. We have these great portraits hanging on the wall, and that is actually Peter Jackson and his wife that have been hobbitized, if you see that in the movie, and they translated that into Lego. Of course, the coolest play feature on the interior is the burning letter. That is a sticker. It's not a print piece, but we could turn this and have the ring be revealed in the fire. So that's a really cool play feature. It's very solid, and while you're building it, that's quite fun too. As you can see in the back, we've got the cheese hanging out there on the ledge. We've got flowers. We've got a little pine cone there. And overall, it's just really great. Then as we move over to this side, we actually have a little cabinet here. There's nothing in it, but these hooks Gandalf can hang his cape on if you take the cape off the minifig. We do have a sword in here, as well as the umbrella, which is quite cool. Then we can move over to this side into Bilbo's office, where we've got a little fire surrounded by those printed pieces we saw outside. There's logs over there. We've got some art hanging on the wall here. And then, of course, we've got his book here, which has a sticker on it, which if we move it, you can see we can open it up, and he's working on There and Back Again, unsurprisingly. So that's really nice with that sticker there. Really cool all around. Then, of course, we've got his seat and just a nice, cozy little office there. And as crazy as it is, that's about all there is to say about the set and its interior. So go ahead and zoom out and wrap up this video and call it a day. All right, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of the video. As I was saying at the beginning, $270 is a huge, huge price tag for what we get here. But if you're a huge Lord of the Rings fan and you're able to get this the week it comes out to get that free GWP that goes with it, I honestly think that that is just enough value to make it worth it. But I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video.